What's up, you guys? I'm going to be going over Gem Knights. I'm going to be going over a couple different ways you can play the deck as well. I was pleasantly surprised with this. I actually played this in the Duelist Cup and got through the first stage of the event with it. I declined to do the second stage of the event with it because honestly it was a bit of a struggle running this in the current format. This deck is just really susceptible to a lot of different things. But I'm going to go ahead and go through it and give my thoughts on it. So we're going to start off with our first variant, which is the more burn-based variant. If you really want to run this deck more seriously, I would run the 3 Gem Knight Master Diamond. I got by with 2 just fine, but if you really want to run the FTK variant, I'd definitely run 3 of this guy instead of 2. But you can get by with 2 if you don't necessarily have enough gems for it. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this. First we got 3 Gem Knight Lapis. This is your vanilla. This is probably just one of the worst cards in the deck. It doesn't really do anything for you. You pretty much need it because Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli is your FTK enabler. So we're going to go ahead and go over this a little early. Must first be fusion summoned with above fusion materials, 1 Gem Knight Lapis, 1 Gem Knight monster. You can only special summon Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli or Lazulis once per turn. And once per turn you can send a Gem Knight monster from your main deck or extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each special summoned monster on the field. So naturally, if you're going second with this deck, and let's say your opponent has the Sprite board out, once you out the Sprite Orange, which you can bait kind of easily, you can burn your opponent for a lot of damage. It also works for monsters you have special summon, so if you just beam out random shit, that works in your favor too. I know that the Emancipator package has helped me with that quite a bit, but basically this can do 500 for every special summon monster, including itself. You can copy its ability with Master Diamond, banish a level 7 or lower Gem Knight Fusion. This card's name basically becomes its name and has its original effects. And then we have Lady Brilliant Diamond. You can send a face-up Gem Knight monster you control the graveyard, and if you do, fusion summon 1 Gem Knight fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. And this is a once per turn, not a hard once per turn. You can only special summon, once per turn. Yeah, so you can basically use this effect multiple times. Next, we're going to go ahead and get into the rest of the extra deck real quick. We have the Emancipator Dragite, it's useful negate. We have Phantom Quartz, which if it's link summoned, you can add a Gem Knight card from your deck to your hand, pay 1,000 life points, fusion summon a Gem Knight monster from your extra deck by shuffling monsters in your possession on it into the deck that are banished or in the graveyard. It can't attack directly this turn. You can only use each effect of Phantom Quartz once per turn. Got our Cross Sheep, got our Verte Anaconda, got our Lady Rose Diamond. This is basically just spot removal. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish a Gem Knight card from your graveyard, target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. Draconia, which is just a vanilla, and Gem Knight Seraphim, which is a normal summoner set once per turn. So let's go ahead and get back to our main deck. Got 3 Gem Knight Lazulis. This card sent to the graveyard by a card effect. You can target 1 normal monster graveyard, add that target to your hand. 2 Maxi, 3 Crystal Rose. Once per turn, you can send 1 Gem Knight or 1 Melodious monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. If you do, this card's name becomes the sent monster's name until the graveyard. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 1 fusion monster from your graveyard. Special summon this card in defense position. You can only use the effect of Crystal Rose once per turn. 3 Emancipator Researcher. You've probably seen this card by now. You know the deal with this guy. If you control a rock monster except for Researcher, you can special summon it from your hand, excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. If you do, special summon 1 level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster is excavated, place the rest of the cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is awesome. This is a completely awesome effect because let's say you excavate something like Alexandrite. This guy can become any other Gem Knight, basically. You just tribute him, special summon a Gem Knight normal monster from your deck. Well, it has to be a normal monster, but basically you're going to bring out Lapis. Easy to get to Lapis that way. Sometimes you can also bring out like Obsidian or Lazuli to recycle normal monster in graveyard. I feel like these have a little bit more value in the non-FTK version of the deck, which we'll go over in a bit. But this being able to beam stuff out, just amazingly terrific. Next we have Predaplant Ortho Scorpio. If he's normal or special, you can send a monster from your hand to the graveyard. Special summon a Predaplant from your deck, except him. You can only use this effect once per turn. So normally we special summon good old Darling Cobra. If it's special summoned by a Predaplant monster, you can add a Polymerization spell card or Fusion spell card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect, Darling Cobra, once per turn. So being able to have Brilliant Fusion or Gem Knight Fusion or Absorb Fusion, really good effect, lots of choice. Next we got 2 Ash Blossom Joy Spring, 3 of the previously mentioned Alexandrite, 2 Gem Armadillo. Don't like him as much as Alexandrite because he has to be normal summon for the effect, but he allows you to add 1 Gem Knight monster from your deck to your hand. 1 Gem Knight Quartz. If your opponent controls a monster, you can discard this card, set a fusion, continue a spell directly from your deck. You can't special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except Gem Knight monsters. If this card is used as material for a fusion summon and sent to the graveyard or banished, you can add a Gem Knight monster from your graveyard to your hand, except Gem Knight Quartz. You can only use each effect of Gem Knight Quartz once per turn. Then we got good old Block Dragon. 1 reasoning, because all your stuff is different levels and it's just easy to make this work. 2 Gem Knight Fusion, 2 Absorb Fusion, 3 Unexpected Die to really get Lapis out there as quickly as possible. 2 Triple Tactical Talents, 1 Brilliant Fusion, 2 Call by the Grave. And that ends it for this more FTK, OTK, burn centered variant. Now, if we're going to be doing a more like traditional, let's beat our opponent down and really play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh variant of this deck, we're going to be running a couple of Scatter Fusions. So we're going to take away 2 of these Unexpected Die, pop in a couple Scatter Fusions. During your main phase, if your opponent controls a monster, you can fusion summon 1 non-rock Gem Knight monster from your extra deck using monsters from your deck as materials, and special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Gem Knight monsters. Can only use the effect Scatter Fusion once per turn. When it leaves the field, destroy all monsters special summoned by this card's effect. So this is a pretty decent card. This one's fairy, that one's rock, so you can't get Lazuli off of it, can't get Zirconia off of it, but you can get Rose Diamond, you can get Master Diamond, you can get Lady Brilliant well, you can't get Lady Brilliant Diamond, that one's rock. Yeah, you can't get Master Diamond either. But we're going to go into what that will be more useful for in a second. So we're going to change some of our mainline monster lineup real quick. We're going to pop in 1 Amethyst because it can return all set spells and traps. It's just a good card to have. And then where's the other one that we want? Was pretty good. Did I already have? I know I didn't already have him in there. There he is. Prismora. He's a thunder monster. Must be fusion summoned. Once per turn, you can send a Gem Knight card that includes the fusion from your hand to the graveyard. Target 1 face-up card on the field. Destroy that card. Pretty decent effect. Not the best, but decent enough. So if you're playing the more just like beat your opponent up version, it's kind of going to look more like this. Let's see, what else can we get rid of? 1 more. Oh, we're in 2 of that. Oh no, I really like having 3. No, we'll have 2. And we're going to go back to the main deck. We're going to get rid of 1 of the Lazulis. Did we already put in 1 of this guy? There we go. So, Gem Knight Lilite. Choose the normal monster will face up in the field or in the graveyard. When it's face up on the field, you can normal summon it to be an effect monster. You can banish a gem monster from your graveyard to target a Gem Knight card in your graveyard. Add that card to your hand. You won't use that effect a ton, but it is decent. We're going to go ahead and take out that guy, and we're going to go for the other useful one. Here it is, Gemini Amber. Same deal. Basically, it's normal monster unless you summon it again. Once per turn, you can send a Gemini card from your hand to the graveyard, target a banished monster, add that target to your hand. The reason this is good is because you can send Gemini Fusion, and Gemini Fusion, if it's in your graveyard, you can banish a Gemini monster from your graveyard to add it to your hand. Let's say you have a Gemini monster in your graveyard that you need access to, you can banish it to add this back to your hand, and then use Amber's effect to add the card that you banished to get back to your hand. Yes, it is a really roundabout way of doing things, but it is very decent in terms of just like, if you're there, you're there. If you need it, you need it. We don't really need the unexpected die since we have even more access to Lazuli with the Scatter Fusion, basically. Well, not one non-rock, yeah. So you can't make Lapis, but you can still make all the other shit. But we don't really need 3. I feel like 3 is excessive if we're not focusing on the FTK. When I was playing the deck in the event, I went back and forth between the beatdown version and the damage inducing version, and I kept going between having double quartz and single quartz, and then like a third obsidian or another one of the recurable gem monsters. The other thing I was doing is I was running 2 copies of Crystal Rose, 1 Brilliant Rose. I like Brilliant Rose because it's always treated as a Gemini card, and you can discard a Gemini or Melodious card and special summon this card from your hand. You can only use this effect of Brilliant Rose once per turn. You can send a Gemini or Melodious monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. This card's attribute, name, type become the same attribute, name, type as the card sent to the graveyard. So this just lets you do some additional shenanigans, and because it counts as a Gemini card, it makes it very easy to bring out Phantom Quartz, because you can discard a card, special this, and then summon something else. Also, this is a rock card, so you can special summon this out, then also special summon out Researcher. Personally, I like this a little bit better than Crystal Rose, but I am running Crystal Rose just for the Sent to Grave effect, from deck to grave effect, because I can do shenanigans with that. Sometimes it also gives me the 3rd card for Block Dragon, and Block Dragon is still MVP. In case you're not familiar with Block Dragon, you just banish 3 earth monsters from your hand or graveyard. Rock monsters you control can't be destroyed except by battle. If it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add up to 3 rock monsters from your deck to your hand whose total levels equal 8. You can only use this effect of Block Dragon once per turn. We got a rock monster there, rock monster there, rock monster there, another rock monster, another rock monster. Yeah, we got a lot of rocks. So you can go 4, 3, and 1 if you really wanted to, and you can just do all sorts of shenanigans with the levels because they're all different levels. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this deck profile. Let me know which version you prefer. I personally like this beatdown version of the deck more. I'm actually going to go ahead and save this again because I particularly don't really like the FTK as much as just playing straight up Gem Knights. But let me know what y'all think down below, and I will see you in the next one with another deck profile. And as always, this has been sponsored by W Energy. You can use the code SirLargeGaming in the link below this video to get 10% off your order. They just introduced the new blue raspberry flavor. I haven't tried it yet. If you've tried it, let me know if you like it down below. I'm still on that peach mango flavor. It's just really good, and I like the energy it gives me more than coffee or canned energy drinks from the store. Also because the tub is like 35 bucks, and there's like, they say there's 30 servings. I kind of get more like 35 or 40 out of it. Your mileage may vary, but it's just way cheaper than getting energy drinks from the store, so I like it a lot more. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one, and have a good one. Bye bye.